Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we're going to be returning to Dragon Quest III Remake because we have some more updates regarding this release. So a few days ago, a video went viral sharing the thoughts of the Dragon Quest creator who expressed his concerns about censorship of this game in order to make it into Western markets. That video has since been deleted, and a lot of people believe this is an act of further censorship. Now, before we get into the most recent updates, I covered this situation a few days ago, and to sum up what was taking place in this video, and if you want the full story, I'll put a link to this video in the description. Essentially, there was a lot of concerns about this remake. There was concerns about the biological genders being removed from the game and replaced with Type A and Type B body types. On top of that, some of the iconic designs of this game have been censored in the remake, and all of these concerns were addressed by this video that went viral on Twitter, where the Dragon Quest creator alongside the former editor in charge of Dragon Ball would talk about those two issues in particular, both citing them as acts of censorship that they clearly didn't like, and on top of that, they blamed a lot of the censorship on the demands of the Western market, in particular the United States, and they really just didn't understand why they have to go through all these hoops in order for these games to be properly labeled or rated and properly introduced into those markets overseas. Now, since then, that video has been removed. The tweet sharing it has been removed, and also the YouTube video with that interview has been taken down. For reasons we'll get into later in this video, but a lot of people believe this is a further act of censorship trying to cover up the tracks of this video and also the statements made by the Dragon Quest creator that was seemingly questioning some of these acts of censorship for this remake. So in wake of that video going viral, a lot of people are coping and seething on Twitter. They saw the creator complaining about censorship of his game, and they turned around and called him a Nazi, a bigot, among other things. It's absolutely insane. Here's some examples. So this user saying, Yuji Horii going Nazi was not on my bingo sheet, where a further conversation would ensue in this thread. This person saying, Yukio, what in the blue blazes are you talking about? How does that make him Hitler? Where they reply saying, pretty much welcoming culture war tourists who tend to be Nazis. Where they are responding here with, by complaining that the game they made had to be censored, you can't chastise someone because grifters will latch onto a thing. Look at how much stuff I call out on a daily basis that some grifter might too. Where the original poster responds saying, it was censored because of Sero, and that's been consistent for over a decade. The Type A and Type B stuff is not censorship. Where the other user replies saying, I mean, they outright said it was due to Western Puritans. The sex education thing was a mistranslation, and that mistranslation is going to be very important for the end of this video, so keep that in mind. But eventually, in a deleted response, that original poster would just straight up admit that they didn't even watch the video. They didn't even watch this interview. So they're calling this creator a bigot and a Nazi over a video they didn't even watch. And the video is like less than 3 minutes, by the way. So you don't have the attention span to watch that video, but you have the attention span to make this long thread calling them a Nazi. It's absolutely insane. Now, in some other conversations, we saw users pointing out the fact that a lot of people are wagging their fingers at these Japanese creators and saying, basically, we know what's best when it comes to censorship. Your values are skewed, and we have to remind you what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And users, as you can see here, are basically saying that's very infantilizing and offensive to say about a group of people, where this user responds saying, I think Japanese people are often extremely conservative dumbasses. Yeah, so on Twitter, in case you don't know, the only thing that's comparable to the open racism against white people is racism against Japanese people. Like, those are two things that are rarely questioned, and they just thrive for some reason on social media. Those are safe targets to go after, and we see this happen every time there's drama involving a Japanese company or a Japanese person. There's always some weird racist remarks that largely go unquestioned. But here's another example from someone trying to claim that they're a part of the Dragon Quest community, making this little comic here saying that essentially the Dragon Quest community doesn't care about DEI and censorship of their game, which is ridiculous. If you support censorship of a hobby, you are not a part of that community. I don't care if it's Dragon Quest or anything else. If you support censorship, you should not be a part of the community because you don't have their best interests in mind. And this user would respond basically saying you're fighting a straw man to feel good about yourself, where that original poster replies by saying, this automatically moot because you're a pedo. Good day. Yes, the classic Twitter tactic of running out of any sort of a real argument and then just labeling your opponent as a predator and just slandering them because you have no actual response. And we would see something similar here, as shared by this account. As expected, Dragon Quest fans are already turning on Hori and trying to paint him as some kind of an extremist because he doesn't want his own game to be censored. I've seen people in the past few days calling him a Nazi, a chud, wishing on his death, etc., all because he spoke up. And here's some examples. Basically, some people are saying, I'm Japanese, these translations seem correct. And even one of the detractors says, well, the translations seem mostly correct, but I'm not going to watch it again because having to listen to two 70-plus old dudes ramble on about the good old days of not having to care about offending people makes my brain hurt. Yes, it makes your brain hurt to hear people who are confused that their entire life doesn't have to basically revolve around not offending a bunch of sensitive people on social media. But they go down here to continue talking about these people in the interview, trying to slander and label them all kinds of ridiculous things all over politics. And this interaction further here, it really just sums up how delusional some of these people are. So this user says, no way 70-year-old Japanese men talking about the good old days where they could sexualize underage girls in their games. I would have never seen it coming. Where this user says, Dragon Quest is like the least pedo game out there. What are you talking about? And another user said, they have not sexualized any underage girls, and these men are renowned grandfathers of JRPGs. Show some effing respect. Where they're hit with a negative downvote here, which is insane. Someone getting bashed on Reddit for saying don't slander people over drawings. I mean, it's the most Reddit thing, honestly. Let's be real. It's actually the most on-character thing for any Reddit interaction. But continuing on, the internet is forever, right? So they take down the original tweet and the YouTube video, but everyone's seen it, right? The message is out there. People understand the concerns that were expressed in this video, and it's been re-uploaded in many different instances, including this particular post that is still up as of recording this video that actually got way more impressions than the original video. This one racking up 18 million views on Twitter. And part of the reason it got so much attention is because Elon Musk would quote retweet this and, of course, give it a lot more of a signal boost than the original video had. And people got very upset about this. Seeing Elon Musk engaging in this conversation, you have people like this saying, you stay away from Dragon Quest, which leads to this amazing quote right here where this user says, what's truly insane is that these weirdos' takeaway from this Dragon Quest thing is that wokeness is ruining games and censoring them when it is literally and always has been the religious right that is censoring them. How can you possibly get to that conclusion? Yeah, the 90s called and they want their discourse back. This whole thing about religious groups censoring games has not been a thing, at least in the United States, for many years. In fact, you think about what's being censored and how it's being censored here. Do you think any religious organization would support a type A and type B body type? I'm pretty sure they would support the exact opposite of that. And these people don't understand the closest thing to religious censorship here, or censorship from any sort of religious group, would be these woke people censoring these games, because they function much like a cult. So if there's anything close to a religious group censoring anything, it is the wokeness. They act just like a bunch of fanatics. And that's how they censor all of these things and demand that these things be censored. And anyone who talks out against it is dismissed as some sort of a horrible, disgusting person. But going on, you think about what we just saw there and the type of people that these companies are dealing with and what these creators in particular are dealing with. Don't forget that Square Enix was a Sweet Baby client. At least they were publicly listed as one only up until a few days ago. Now they have their name removed from this list, and whether they're continuing to work with Sweet Baby in the background, just not showing it publicly, we don't know. But they have been working with Sweet Baby for quite some time, and don't be mistaken, there's definitely some sort of an influence on the direction of that developers, because it's clear that they've gone that route with their products. and you're really just dealing with insufferable people. And this is a quote from the interview saying, doing business with such a ridiculous country is really frustrating, referring to the United States, because we have people like Sweet Baby constantly trying to wedge their way into every project. We have a bunch of people crying on social media over the most benign things and demanding things be changed to essentially conform with their delicate sensibilities. It must be exhausting. Now, let's go back to the original post sharing that interview. Like I said, all traces of that original poster's videos have been removed, and a lot of people have come forward in articles and Twitter threads over the past couple of hours, basically dismissing the entire interview as the product of mistranslations. Basically saying the entire interview and everything they said is completely worthless because it's all mistranslations. But in reality, there is only one mistranslation. And the original account that uploaded the video has sent out an apology, and it seems to me, and this is just my opinion, it looks like this was made by a lawyer, where they say, I would like to sincerely apologize for the incorrect English subtitles created for Mr. Kazuhiko Torishiyama statement. In the scene where he mentioned Puritan, it was mistakenly translated as sex education, which, by the way, looking at the context of that quote, he was basically saying that religion has an influence on sex education, but the proper translation now says Puritan, like Puritan culture, which is more accurate and seems like it makes more sense. And that's not a part of the video a lot of people really cared about. People cared about the comments of the Dragon Quest creator referring to the type A and type B body types, the censorship of the outfits, and how they seemingly had that stuff forced upon them, and they don't really like it, and they're doing this because apparently to them they have been made aware of some sort of context where they have to do this in order to get into Western markets. Those are the way more important parts of this interview, and you're saying one mistranslation of one phrase in this nearly 3-minute interview is enough to basically dismiss this whole thing. And a lot of people are looking at this and thinking this is an act of censorship, and this person felt a need, maybe out of fear of a lawsuit, to take down the related videos. And a lot of people have noticed, and a lot of people are saying, wait. This seems like they're trying to cover up what was said by the Dragon Quest creator, and now they're trying to wipe this off the face of the internet. But as I said earlier, the internet is forever, and these videos are all over the place. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with YouTubers and other content creators who covered samples of this interview, because are they going to go try to take those videos down? I think that would be a very big mistake. I don't think people are going to fold as quickly as this, and they will put up much more of a fight. And again, as a PR perspective, if they do something like that, that is about the worst thing they could do. It's a fair use of that clip, fair use coverage and commentary. So if they want to go that next step, they're going to be really shooting themselves in the foot. But for now, that appears to be the situation so far with Dragon Quest III Remake. I'm sure this won't be the end of it. I have a feeling this is going to be dragging out further, and we'll see how they respond to criticism of this decision and coverage of this entire situation. But for now, it's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.